A shoot shall come out of the stump of Jesse, and a branch shall grow out of his roots. The Spirit of the Lord shall rest upon him, the Spirit of wisdom and understanding, the Spirit of counsel and might, the Spirit of knowledge and the fear of the Lord. His delight shall be in the fear of the Lord. He shall judge not by what his eyes see or decide by what his ears hear, but with righteousness. He shall judge the poor and decide with equity for the meek of the earth. He shall strike the earth with the rod of his mouth, and with the breath of his lips he shall kill the wicked. Righteousness shall be the belt around his waist, and faithfulness the belt around his loins. The wolf shall live with the lamb, the leopard shall lie down with the kid, and the calf and the lion, the fatling together, and the little child shall lead them. The cow and the bear shall graze, the young shall lie down together with the lion, who shall eat straw like the ox. The nursing child shall play over the hole of the asp, and the weaned child shall put its hand in the adder's den. There will not hurt or destroy on all my holy mountain, for the earth will be filled with the knowledge of the Lord as the waters cover the sea. So on this third Sunday of Advent, we turn our attention to the notion of peace, and the candle of peace shines brightly. Now, again, for you traditionalists, you may be wondering why the third candle is peace and not joy, as established in the liturgical custom. And as Karen mentioned last Sunday, it was an intentional choice because this Sunday is the closest to December 14th, and December 14th is the day when the shooting at Sandy Hook Elementary School occurred 10 years ago. So I still find it difficult to light the candle of joy near this Sunday as I remember the grief of that event, and just as impactful, the disbelief that we still do little to nothing to solve the problem of mass shootings as well as individual gun violence in our culture. It's simply become so routine and commonplace in our daily lives, we're being conditioned to accept it as the new normal. So it's a good Sunday to talk about peace, to affirm peace, and I want to challenge everyone to believe peace is worth our best effort, because it's God's way, and God's way is always better than our way. As people of faith, instilled in our being is a vision of peace, a path to peace. It's where we experience the fullness of God. And that's what God literally desires, peace for us and God's creation. In our text this morning, we hear Isaiah's beautiful and poetic words pointing us toward a time of peace. God's desire for us will be realized. The prophet knows where God will take God's people, and Isaiah is given and then declares these words that the path tells the world who God is and where God's taking us, a vision that makes possible full life in the present then and in the full life now. So I will keep saying it until my very last breath. We can't envision peace if we can't see it. If we can't think peace or believe in peace, then it won't ever happen, because we'll never put our energy and our resources, our best effort into making it happen. An Old Testament professor wrote, "The prophet does not ask if the vision can be implemented, for questions of implementation are of no consequences until the vision can be imagined." Imagination must come before implementation. And I think it was Mark Twain who once said, "You cannot depend on your eyes when your imagination is out of focus." So on this Sunday, as the candle of peace flickers, my prayer is that we'll stay focused on peace just a little bit longer, just a little bit while. And we'll believe in peace and put our best effort and practice living peaceably. Now, it's a very dark and desperate time for the people of Israel, the people that Isaiah is speaking to. The people were in exile. They've been carried off and put into captivity. All their cities, including Jerusalem, had either been destroyed or would be destroyed. They lived in a foreign land. And here's the point: the world around the people of Israel produced little evidence of God's righteous reign. There was little evidence of God's righteous reign. Hope and joy were far away. So it is in this context that Isaiah speaks these words that shatter their darkness with message of hope. His words are words that filled people with the possibility of joy, and now Isaiah speaks words of peace. God's way is always better than our way. So can we believe in a God who cares and who works to spread light in the darkness? And if that is so, is not there an incentive for us to connect deeply with God in ushering in a more excellent way, a better way, a peaceable way? Yes, I agree. It sounds too crazy to think that peace is possible. And it's even crazier to think that we could work toward that kind of peace, but we're people of faith. And people of faith believe in a better day and a better way, and peace becomes a reality. We don't ignore the issues in our culture, but rather we arouse confidence that God is guiding us toward that better future, that peaceable realm. And it's interesting that Isaiah borrows an example from nature. A shoot shall come out of the stump of Jesse. A branch shall grow from its roots. Where once a mighty tree stood, now there is only a stump. And we have no idea of how that tree turned into a stump. It might have been decay, might have been blown over by a hurricane, or it might have just been chopped off, cut down. But whatever the case, there was once a tree and now it is a stump. And yet out of this stump there will be new life. New life will be growing out of it, of what was seemingly dead. So I'm committed to live in the tension between the biblical vision of peace and the reality of the world, because I see ultimate value in God's promises. And I've simply made the choice to trust God. And we here at Pine Shores gather together into community to celebrate what we represent. We gather to celebrate who we are. A community that chooses each other, that chooses to trust a God who believes, who works toward a creation of peace. So see it, believe it, and together let us work toward what God desires for our lives. Parker Palmer said, when privileged people like me choose hopelessness over hope, it's not a reflection of the state of the world, it's a reflection of the state of our souls. When faith grows thin, cynicism and despair finds a path into our hearts, and we grumble about the way life is and lose sight of God's dreams for the world. So we tend to forget about our spiritual lives. But when we tend to those spiritual lives, hope and joy take root, and peace actually becomes a motivating and driving force in our daily lives as we are God's people and are vital to the future of the world, because it's God's promise to have a creation that is peaceable. And God calls us to be partners in creating a better life for us all. So like Isaiah, we too can dare to imagine that in place of the usual ways of business, there is a new way, a way of peace. A way where the oldest of friends, the oldest of enemies, like the wolf and lamb or the leopard and kid, the calf and the lion, like the lion and ox, treat one another with simple civility and respect. Perhaps there will even be a day to come when they call each other friends. Envision the world as God intends. Be infused with faith to believe for a better way, a more excellent way. And join with God in making peace a reality.